When Dr. Gilda Barabino became the president of Olin College of Engineering in Needham last July, she was facing a critical time for higher education institutions. The implacable pandemic showed no signs of waning. Calls for diversity and racial equity were growing in various fields across the country. As the 5th black woman in the nation to obtain a doctorate in chemical engineering, Dr. Barabino knows well how to persevere through challenges. She joined municipal producer Yu Wen to discuss her plans for Olin and the opportunities students in STEM fields have.
Many students who choose engineering as a discipline are looking for ways to make the world a better place. And what better field than something like engineering that uses tools and technologies and applies them in ways to make things better. Schools like Olin, where we focus on engineering so that we can train that next generation of problem solvers who are also globally competent around being civically minded and being good global citizens.
Dr. Barabino said the key to training problem solvers is to have them work on real-world difficulties. Olin partners with different industries, and its students collaborate across disciplines to solve the obstacles the industries have.
Say you're working with a medical device company. They need a technology that would perform a procedure in a better way. And so the students are like, well, what is that procedure? And they identify a particular need. And then they actually come up with a device that allows the clinician to carry out their procedure more simply. And so something, it might be like endoscopy, where you actually are putting a tube with a camera down someone's throat so that you can see better. Well, there are ways that you can improve that technology.
Olin also participates in the National Academy of Engineering's Grand Challenges program, which provides projects in themes of sustainability, health, security, and joy of living. But how to train students on collaborative projects virtually during a pandemic?
One strategy would be like maybe you would take a building kit and send it out. So you send it out to the students. So now everyone, they're working virtually, but in their own area with their kit. There are things, technologies available like an electronic whiteboard, where everyone is in that shared screen and writing, posting on this electronic board together. We do have international students, so we have been able to ship our kits internationally and keep those students engaged as well.
Dr. Barabino said other priorities of Olin include promoting gender parity and diversity. In the entering class of 2024, 42% of students identify as female, 42% are students of color, and 15% are underrepresented students of color.
We're going to have better outcomes if we hear from a diverse group of people, and that includes women and people from underrepresented or underserved groups. So I think that's like really critical. And I feel like engineering, what concerns me a bit is we continue to have a real continued persistent underrepresentation of women and underrepresented minorities. I went through most of my career not seeing someone who looked like me. And I think it's very critical for us to have mentors and role models. Students coming in need to be able to see themselves in a particular discipline, in a particular career path. So the more that we have represented both women and people from underrepresented and underserved groups, the better off we are. For Blacks in particular, 3.9% of the bachelor's degrees in engineering are going to Blacks, and it's about 4% at the graduate level. So you can imagine those that are actually in faculty positions, the percentages are even smaller. And for me, I think it's really important that we don't leave talent untapped. There are a lot of ways we can do that. And some of it involves partnering and getting people early in and creating those pathways. I'm really excited about, I've already connected with the Needham public schools and the superintendent, and working on ways we can collaborate, including having continuing the tradition that Olin students have actually participated in done some outreach activities in the schools.
What are your advices for female or minority students pursuing career in STEM but are having the same problem you had, as you mentioned before, in terms of having a hard time finding role model?
There are those who are in positions, there are counselors, there are teachers. They're always a good source to start, whether they look like you or not. And they can help connect you with other resources. Students can contact institutions. Students could write to Olin, say, hey, I'm interested, tell me more. So that's always a good source. But this idea of you can do it is really important.
Is there any other priorities that you want to share?
How do we make education more affordable? How do we make it more accessible to anyone who has that interest? And how do we do it in ways that we really are tackling problems of not just this century, but the next century, and training that future generation so that they're equipped to do that?